Hey guys, tonight we're diving into the harsh and unforgiving life of a medieval peasant living without rights, power, or freedom. Imagine working endless days in the fields, bound to the land, with little hope for a better future. Their struggles were the backbone of medieval society, yet their voices were often silenced and forgotten. If you want to truly understand the realities behind the grand castles and kings, this story is a must-watch. Before we get started, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below telling us where you're watching from. You awaken, slowly, the chill of dawn brushing softly against your skin. The air feels crisp, fresh with the promise of a new day, yet carrying the unmistakable bite that only early mornings in the medieval countryside can deliver. Your body shifts against the rough straw mattress beneath you, simple, firm, and far from the plush comforts of any lord's chamber. But it's yours, at least, for now. The wooden beams overhead creak quietly as the house settles into the coolness of the morning. Outside, a rooster's call breaks the silence, sharp and persistent, echoing across the thatched roofs of your small village. It's a familiar sound, a signal that the day has begun. Whether you feel ready or not, you take a moment to breathe in deeply. The scent of smoke lingers gently in the air, smoke from last night's hearth fire, still faintly warm but fading. That fire is the heart of your home, a source of comfort and life. Yet it also reminds you of the work ahead. Soon, you'll tend to it again, coaxing the embers into a steady flame that will warm the cottage and cook the morning's meager meal. Your eyes adjust to the soft grey light filtering through the small, shuttered window. The room is wooden walls, a handful of simple tools leaning against the corner, and a few woven baskets holding the day's necessities. There's no luxury here, just the essentials. Yet, in these bare surroundings, there's a quiet dignity, a life lived close to the earth and the rhythms of nature. From the adjoining room, the low murmur of family stirring reaches your ears. Perhaps your children are waking, or your spouse is preparing for the long day ahead. The sound is gentle, a reminder of the bonds that tie you together in this humble life. It's a comfort, a soft soundtrack to the beginning of the day. You swing your legs over the edge of the bed, feeling the roughness of the wooden floorboards beneath your feet. They're cold, but steady and familiar. You stand slowly, muscles stiff but ready to move. The chill air nips at your skin, urging you toward the hearth, where the first warmth of the morning will be found. Reaching the fireplace, you stir the ashes, coaxing the remaining embers back to life. The crackle and hiss of the flame soon fills the room, and with it comes a sense of renewal. The smoke curls upward, carrying with it the smell of burning wood, mixed with the faint aroma of herbs tucked into the fire sage, perhaps, or time meant to purify the air and offer a small blessing for the day. As the fire grows steady, you prepare to fetch water from the well, a task that awaits you before the sun rises higher. You wrap a coarse woolen shawl around your shoulders, its rough texture a reminder of the hard work it took to make, and step outside into the awakening village. The sky is painted in soft pastels, pinks, blues, and the faintest golden hues peeking over the horizon. The earth beneath your feet is cool and damp, still holding the night's dew. You inhale the scent of fresh grass, mixed with the earthy richness of tilled soil, a fragrance that will be with you throughout the day. Around you, the village begins to stir. Chickens cluck and scratch for food, and the occasional bark of a dog breaks the morning quiet. Neighbors exchange nods and murmured greetings as they too step into the new day, bound by shared routines and common hardships. The well's wooden bucket creaks as you lower it into the cool depths. Drawing up the water, you feel the weight of it, a simple but vital resource that will be used for cooking, cleaning, and sustaining life itself. It's a small act, but one that sets the rhythm of your morning. Back inside, the water is poured into a rough clay pot to heat over the fire. You prepare a humble meal, perhaps some coarse bread and pottage, simple sustenance for the demanding day ahead. The sounds of chopping vegetables, the simmering of the stew, and the occasional crackle from the fire create a comforting ambience in the small cottage. You glance around, taking in the worn furniture, the wooden table scarred by years of use, the rough-hewn chairs, and the woven rugs that add a splash of color to the earthen floor. Each item tells a story of survival and resilience, crafted by your hands or passed down through generations. Outside, the sun begins its slow ascent, casting long shadows and bathing the village in gentle warmth. The morning light dances through the small window, illuminating dust motes that float lazily in the air. It's a quiet beauty, a moment of peace before the day's labor fully takes hold. You sit briefly, savoring the first bite of your meal, feeling the warmth spread through your body. It's simple, perhaps lacking in variety, but nourishing and made with care. This food is the foundation of your strength, the fuel for the endless tasks that define peasant life. In these early moments, as the world awakens around you, there's a sense of connection to the land, to your family, and to the countless others who share this humble existence. Though the hardships are many, there is also a profound steadiness, a rhythm to the day that has been practiced and perfected through generations. You rise from your seat, the meal finished, but your body already preparing for the demands ahead. The chill morning air still lingers, urging you to gather your few belongings and step outside once more. The village is coming alive in earnest. Now smoke curls from other hearths, and the steady rhythm of footsteps on dirt paths weaves a soft symphony of daily life. You notice the scent of freshly turned earth mixing with the faint aroma of baking bread from a neighbor's oven. It's a comforting reminder that life continues, despite the hardships. Somewhere nearby, a child's laughter peals a bright sound against the muted tones of the dawn. Moments like these offer small bursts of joy amid the endless toil. Your hands brush against the rough walls of your cottage as you move past, feeling the coolness of the wood and stone. Every crack and groove carries stories of years gone by, seasons weathered, and the resilience that keeps your home standing. It's not just shelter, it's a testament to endurance. Walking towards the fields, your feet press into the soft earth, still damp from the night's dew. You pause for a moment, letting the coolness seep in, grounding you before the labor begins. The horizon stretches, wide and open, a patchwork quilt of greens and browns under the awakening sky. You catch sight of other villagers already at work, some tilling the soil, others tending to animals. Their faces, weathered and worn, hold a quiet determination. There's a shared understanding among you all, unspoken yet deeply felt. Survival depends on each day's efforts. The tools you carry are simple but essential wooden handles, iron blades passed down and maintained with care. They may lack the polish of wealthier estates, but they serve their purpose well, transforming raw land into sustenance. As you begin your work, the sounds envelop you, the distant lowing of cattle, the soft rustling of leaves stirred by a gentle breeze, the occasional bird call breaking the morning stillness. These are the natural melodies of your world, grounding and familiar. The sun climbs steadily, its warmth slowly chasing away the last traces of morning chill. Sweat beads on your brow, mixing with the earthy scent of soil and grass. There's a primal satisfaction in this honest labor, despite its exhausting demands. Throughout the day, you move rhythmically, digging, planting, harvesting, each action, part of a greater cycle that has sustained your people for generations. The land gives, but it also requires care and respect, lessons learned through hard experience. Occasionally, you pause to wipe your brow or take a sip from a small leather pouch of water. These brief rests offer moments to catch your breath and reflect on the delicate balance of life here. The seasons, the weather, the whims of harvest all shape your fate as surely as any lord's decree. You glance back toward the village, where smoke still rises steadily from chimneys, and children's voices echo faintly. It's a world tightly woven with shared struggles and small triumphs, a community bound by common fate. As the afternoon sun tilts westward, shadows grow longer, and the pace of work begins to slow. Your muscles ache, but there is pride in a day's labor well done. This exhaustion is different from defeat. It's the mark of survival, resilience, and connection to something larger than yourself. Heading back to your cottage, you pass fields, ready for rest, and animals grazing quietly. The village hums softly, preparing for evening as light fades. Inside your home, the hearth awaits, ready to offer warmth and nourishment once more. You settle back into the rhythm of daily life, cooking a simple meal, tending to family, sharing stories by firelight. The world outside may be harsh and unyielding, but here, in these small moments, there is comfort and belonging. You step outside your small cottage, just as the first rays of sunlight begin to stretch across the fields. The air carries that fresh, earthy scent, a mixture of damp soil, morning dew, and the faint perfume of wildflowers hidden among the grass. Beneath your worn boots, the ground is still cool and uneven, the rough texture of the dirt reminding you of yesterday's hard labor and today's promise of more. Around you, the village slowly stirs. You hear the soft clatter of wooden carts on dirt paths, the distant bleating of sheep mingling with the occasional lowing of cattle. The rustle of grain stalks bends gently in the breeze, whispering stories of seasons past and those yet to come. The patchwork of fields, some freshly plowed and others dotted with sprouting crops, stretches out like a quiet sea of green and gold. This land is more than just dirt and plants. It's the very heart of your life and the tether that binds you to the rhythms of the world around you. Here, under the manorial system, everything is connected. Your labor in the fields sustains not only your family, but also your lord's estate, with obligations that remind you daily of your place. The village exists under his watchful eye, and though his hall seems distant and grand, its influence touches every corner of your humble world. The fields themselves demand respect. Their moods shift with the weather. Gentle rains coax seeds from the earth, but sudden storms can flood rows of young wheat. You know well the stubbornness of your oxen, who sometimes refuse to budge despite your coaxing, as if they too feel the weight of this endless toil. Yet even in these challenges, there is a quiet beauty, the rising sun igniting the dew, the first shoots pushing through hard earth, the comforting hum of insects at work. Throughout the year, the land pulses with its own calendar. Springs, planting brings hope and fresh effort. Summer calls for vigilance against drought and pests, and autumn offers the fruits of your hard labor in golden harvests. Winter slows the pace, allowing you moments to rest by the fire, though even then, preparation for the next cycle quietly begins. The village is more than fields too. It's the heartbeat of community, shared laughter over simple meals, stories told by firelight, the steady presence of neighbors whose hands know the same work. The dirt paths link every home, every barn, every patch of tilled earth, weaving a tapestry of lives lived close to the soil and to one another. And so, each day, you rise with the land, feeling its texture beneath your fingers, hearing its song in the rustling crops, and carrying its weight with both pride and quiet endurance. The village and its fields are your world, sometimes harsh, often unyielding, but always deeply alive, as you walk along the narrow dirt paths that wind between the fields. Your eyes take in the patchwork of crops in various stages of growth. Barley sways softly, its golden heads nodding in the breeze like a gentle sea. Nearby, rows of peas and beans climb their simple wooden trellises, their tendrils reaching eagerly toward the sun. The smell here is a mix of fresh earth and green, leaves tinged faintly with the musk of animals grazing in distant pastures. The manorial system shapes every part of this landscape in your daily life. The Lord's manor looms at the edge of the village, not just a grand house but a symbol of authority, where decisions that affect the whole community are made. Though you rarely see the Lord himself, his presence is felt in the duties you owe, working a portion of your time on his lands, paying rents, and providing services when called upon. It's a system built on dependence, where your freedom is tightly woven with your obligation to the soil and your Lord. Still, there is a rhythm here, one you've come to know intimately. You sense the seasons before they arrive, the sharp bite in the air hinting at winter's end, the increasing buzz of insects forecasting summer's heat. These cycles dictate when the fields must be plowed, planted, weeded, and harvested, and your body remembers each task with practiced ease. The rough texture of the wooden hoe, the cool weight of the water skin, the sting of sweat running down your back, these are the sensory memories that fill your days. Sometimes, the weather has its own plans. Rain may fall just enough to soak the ground without turning it to mud, or it may pour relentlessly, threatening to wash away tender seedlings. You've learned to read the sky's moods, to watch for the changing smells carried by the wind, to sense the subtle shifts that will make the difference between a bountiful harvest and lean times. The oxen that pull your plow have their own personalities, too. One might grumble stubbornly, resisting your commands as if testing your patience, while another plods steadily, reliable and uncomplaining. You've had to coax and cajole, finding just the right balance of firmness and gentleness. Their heavy footsteps echo through the quiet fields, marking the slow but steady progress of your work. Life here is demanding, but it's also deeply rooted in connection to the earth, to the village, and to the shared experience of toil and survival. The distant bleating of sheep reminds you that livestock, too, play their part in this delicate balance. They provide wool, milk, and sometimes meat, and caring for them is another thread in the fabric of your daily routine. The village itself is a humble cluster of cottages, barns, and workshops, nestled close together for warmth and mutual support. Smoke curls from chimneys, carrying the scent of hearth fires and cooking bread. The air is filled with the murmur of neighbors greeting one another, the clink of tools, and the occasional burst of laughter. Though your life is circumscribed by labor and obligation, it is also lived among a community that shares your struggles and small joys. In quieter moments, you might pause by a well or beneath the shade of a tree, feeling the rough bark under your fingers or the cool splash of water on your skin. These simple sensations ground you, reminding you of your place in this vast, ever-turning world. As the sun climbs higher, casting warm light across the fields, you prepare to begin another day of work. Your hands are steady, your spirit resilient, and though the labor is unending, the land offers a strange kind of comfort, a reminder that life, in all its hardship and beauty, continues. So you breathe deeply, take in the scents and sounds around you, and step forward into the familiar rhythm of the village and its fields, where every furrow turned and every seed sown carries the promise of tomorrow. The day unfolds slowly here, with its steady tasks and timeless rhythms, weaving together the story of a life bound to the land, a life both humble and profound, shaped by nature, necessity, and the enduring human spirit. You wake early, before the sun has fully stretched its light across the sky, and already the day's work waits. The weight of the hoe feels familiar in your hands, rough wood worn smooth by seasons of labor, yet it never quite gets lighter. There's a rhythm to it, this digging and turning of soil, almost like a slow dance with the earth beneath your feet. If only the earth would sometimes cooperate a bit better. The morning air is crisp, a slight bite to it as you step outside your cottage, the straw crunching softly beneath your worn sandals. You can hear the distant lowing of cattle, the bleating of sheep, and the occasional clatter as a chicken scurries off in a startled flutter. These sounds are the soundtrack of your world, steady and unchanging, except when the weather decides. Otherwise, by mid-morning your fingers are numb from the chill of water drawn from the well, the cold seeping under your nails as you wash off the dirt and sweat that cling to you like a second skin. You know well the sting of that water. It sharpens your senses, brings you fully into the moment, despite the ache beginning to settle deep in your muscles. It's the kind of ache that whispers of strength earned and battles fought silently. Day after day, tending to the animals is another story altogether. The oxen, massive and stubborn, seem to think they are the true rulers of the fields. Today, as you hitch them to the plow, they resist with slow, deliberate movements that test your patience more than your strength. Their breath puffs out in soft clouds, the scent earthy and familiar, mingling with the warm musk of freshly turned soil. You can't help but smile, a small rebellion against the toil, knowing that somewhere deep down, these creatures respect your steady hand, even if they grumble in their own way. As you walk the rows of sprouting crops, your eyes trace the delicate green shoots reaching up toward the sun. Each plant is a quiet promise, a fragile hope that the earth will yield enough to sustain your family and meet the Lord's demands. The sun climbs higher, warming your back and drying the sweat that beads on your brow. The occasional breeze brings relief, carrying with it the scent of wildflowers from the nearby hedgerows and the faint, comforting aroma of wood smoke curling from neighboring cottages. When it comes time to mend your tools, the work shifts from muscles to fingers. The coarse linen of your tunic brushes against the rough leather straps as you sit on a low stool, the sun now casting long shadows across the yard. The clink of hammer against metal is steady and sure, a small melody amid the vast symphony of daily life. Even in these quiet moments, there's a sense of accomplishment, a reminder that every repaired tool is a lifeline for the work yet to come. The afternoon blurs past with more tasks: feeding the chickens, gathering eggs, patching fences battered by the wind. Your hands are never still, always moving, always shaping the world around you. The ache in your back deepens, and the sting of scratches and bruises is a badge of honor. Proof of your place in this relentless cycle. By evening, the sky softens to a gentle rose, and the fields are bathed in golden light. You pause, breath heavy, muscles humming, to take in the view. The village nestled amidst the rolling hills, smoke rising lazily from chimneys, and the familiar outlines of your neighbors' homes. It's a moment of quiet, a brief reprieve before the evening hearth calls you back. As you sit by the fire, the warmth seeps into your chilled bones. The aroma of simple stew simmering fills the air, mingling with the earthy scent of burning wood. The day's toil settles around you like a comforting cloak, heavy but honest. And as your family gathers, sharing stories and laughter, the hardships of labor fade, replaced by the enduring bonds that make this hard life worth living. It's a life of relentless work, yes, but also one rich in small victories. The stubborn ox finally obeying, a patch of earth yielding a bountiful harvest, a mended tool ready for another day. Each moment, each task, shapes not only the land but the spirit of those who call it home. And though the work is grueling, it is also a testament to resilience, to the quiet courage of those who, day by day, carve out their existence against the odds. The light dims further as evening deepens, and the village settles into a calm hush, broken only by the occasional bark of a dog or the rustle of night creatures stirring. Your body, weary but steady, craves rest, yet you know tomorrow will bring another dawn with its own demands. The cycle is unending, but within it, there's a strange rhythm, a cadence that becomes part of who you are. As your eyelids grow heavy, you reflect on the small things that brought you through the day, the rough warmth of sun-soaked earth beneath your feet, the steady breathing of the oxen as they rested, the laughter shared with neighbors over a modest meal. These moments, simple and fleeting, are the threads that weave together the fabric of your life. And so, as the fire's glow flickers softly, and the night wraps its quiet around your humble home, you prepare to rest, to gather strength for the dawn to come, for the fields to be tended, the animals fed, the tools mended, and the never-ending essential work of living tied so closely to the land you call your own. The soft crackle of the dying fire lulls you gently toward sleep, as the village breathes quietly around you. Outside, the night sky stretches wide and still, a canopy of stars witnessing the timeless dance of toil and rest. In this peaceful moment, the weight of the day lifts just enough for you to find calm, carrying with you the steady pulse of the land and the quiet strength of a life lived deeply, simply, and with enduring resilience. You wake to a familiar, gentle hunger that lingers in your belly, like a quiet companion. The kitchen's hearth flickers softly, casting warm shadows over the rough wooden table, where simple, humble food awaits. Your morning meal is modest, a thick slice of coarse rye bread, dense and slightly bitter, its grainy texture grounding you in the reality of your daily life. Alongside it, a bowl of pottage simmers, a thick stew of barley, vegetables, and perhaps a few scraps of salted fish or dried herbs, if luck has smiled upon your family this season. The smell of the pottage rises in gentle waves, earthy and comforting, mingling with the faint scent of smoke from the hearth. It's a scent that says, "This will sustain you, even when it isn't much." You take a slow bite, feeling the warmth spread through your chest, a small moment of nourishment that keeps you going. Life as a medieval peasant is intimately tied to the rhythms of the earth, and food is both a daily necessity and a fragile blessing. Most of what you eat comes straight from the fields and forests, nearby sturdy grains, root vegetables, and whatever wild herbs or berries you can find. The diet is simple, often repetitive, but it is real and it is yours. Salted fish, when it appears, is a rare and precious treat, a reminder of the far-off seas and the sprawling trade networks that connect even your humble village to the wider world. But with each harvest, there is always a quiet hope and a silent prayer. The weather, unpredictable and often harsh, holds the power to turn abundance into scarcity. A dry summer might parch the soil, making the wheat brittle and the potatoes shriveled. A wet, cold autumn could rot the stored grains, leaving nothing but the memory of better times in the larder. And when the harvest fails, famine creeps in like a shadow, tightening its grip with hunger pangs and weakening limbs. In those hardest seasons, you learn to stretch every morsel, to savor the smallest bite, as if it were a treasure. Sharing food becomes a sacred act, binding neighbors and family in a circle of survival. You might gather around a single pot of pottage, passing the ladle from hand to hand, each scoop a lifeline. The laughter is quieter, but the warmth of companionship grows deeper, an unspoken reminder that even scarcity cannot sever the ties of human kindness. The threat of famine is never far, a specter hovering on the edges of daily life. Stories pass from mouth to ear about neighboring villages swallowed by hunger, about people traveling long distances with empty sacks, searching for a scrap of hope. Yet, amidst these tales, you also hear whispers of resilience, of communities banding together to share seed grain, of traditions that teach how to find food in the wild, and of faith that sustains even when the stomach is empty. In your village, the manorial system governs not just the land but the very food on your table. A portion of your harvest goes to the Lord's granary, a reminder of the obligations that shape your life. It's a delicate balance, enough to keep your family fed, but always with the looming risk that a bad year might tip you over the edge into desperation. Still, the seasons turn with steady grace. Spring brings fresh shoots and the promise of renewal. Summer fills the fields with gold and green. Autumn is the time of gathering and storing, a season of hope. And winter, though harsh, offers moments of rest and reflection by the fires. You learn to read the land, to listen to the whisper of the wind through the grain, and to watch the sky's changing moods. Each day's meal is a testament to this deep, enduring connection to the earth, a blend of patience, hard work, and humble gratitude. Sometimes, when the wind is just right, you can catch the faintest scent of distant markets, where traders bring spices, dried fruits, and salted meats, luxuries that seem almost like stories from another world. These flavors might never grace your table, but their memory lingers, a reminder of the vast, bustling world beyond the village fields. In these quiet moments of eating, you feel the pulse of history, the endless dance of scarcity and plenty that has shaped countless lives before yours. And as you sip the thin, warm broth, you know that this simple sustenance is more than food. It is survival, endurance, and the fragile thread that connects one day to the next. Even in times of plenty, the peasant's table remains modest. The joy found not in abundance but in the sharing, the rituals, and the small comforts of home. The coarse bread and humble pottage may seem plain, but within their textures and tastes lies a story of resilience, of families weathering storms, of communities bound by necessity and care. When famine strikes hardest, it is the spirit that keeps you going, the hope for the next season, the memory of better meals, the promise of renewal, all kindle a quiet fire inside. Food becomes more than sustenance, becomes a symbol of life's persistence. So, as you lean over your simple meal, feeling the roughness of bread against your lips and the warmth of stew filling your belly, you are part of a timeless story, a story of hunger and hope, of scarcity and survival, whispered through the ages by those who know that even in the harshest times, the human spirit finds a way to endure. Outside, the village stirs anew, and the fields await your hands. The cycle continues, planting, tending, harvesting, and, always, sharing the humble gifts of the earth with those you love. And in this quiet, steady rhythm, you find your place, grounded and connected to the land, to history, and to the generations who came before and will follow after. As the day unfolds, you carry with you the quiet memory of that simple meal, the coarse bread, the thick pottage, the occasional salted fish that sustains not only your body but your spirit. The flavors may be plain by some standards, but to you, they are the very essence of life in this place and time. Sometimes, you find moments of joy in the small variations, a handful of wild herbs gathered from the edge of the forest, their fresh bitterness a lively contrast, or the sweet tartness of a few wild berries found while tending the fields. These little treasures are gifts from the land, reminders that even amid scarcity, there is richness to be found, and on the rare days when the Lord's generosity or the market's bounty brings fresh vegetables, eggs, or even a modest piece of cheese, the village seems to glow with a shared excitement. These treats are savored slowly, their flavors unfolding like a secret pleasure known only to those who have waited patiently. The season's cycles govern all, planting in spring, tending in summer, harvesting in autumn, and conserving in winter. Each brings its own challenges and its own rewards, shaping the rhythms of work and rest, hunger and satisfaction. You know the feel of soil between your fingers, the weight of a basket filled with just picked beans, the cool splash of river water as you wash the day's labor from your hands. But you also know the fragility of this existence. A storm that washes away crops, a harsh winter that kills livestock, or a sickness that spreads quickly through the village can unravel months of toil in moments. And with it comes the ever-present fear of famine, the silent shadow that stalks the edges of your life. Yet, amid these hardships, life endures. Families gather around their fires, sharing what little they have, telling stories that weave together past and present. Children play in the fields, their laughter a bright thread through the toil. The earth, though demanding, offers its gifts, season by season, sustaining those who work it with steady generosity. In this landscape of simplicity and struggle, every meal carries meaning. The food on your table is more than nutrition. It is a connection to your ancestors who first cleared these fields, to your neighbors who share in this common fate, and to the land itself that cradles your daily existence. So, as dusk settles, and you prepare for the evening's rest, the memory of these tastes and textures lingers, the warmth of the pottage, the roughness of the bread, the rare and treasured flavor of salted fish. These humble flavors tell a story of resilience, of human endurance woven through centuries of life lived close to the soil. The day's quiet hunger softens into rest, and the steady rhythm of life continues rooted in the earth, sustained by simple meals and carried forward by enduring hope. You wake to the familiar weight of dawn pressing softly against your cottage walls, the chill of the morning air slipping through cracks, reminding you that the day ahead carries more than just the tasks of tending your land. Outside, the village stirs quietly, and in the distance, the Lord's manor looms, not just a building of stone and timber, but a constant, unseen presence pressing upon your life. It's not just the manor silhouette against the horizon, it's the demands that come with it. Taxes and tithes, words that carry the weight of grain sacks, the clinking of coins, and the groan of weary bodies. Today, like many others, you will prepare your offerings, a ritual as old as the fields themselves. Imagine the coarse feel of the sack in your hands, heavy with the wheat or barley you've harvested after months of relentless toil. The straw tickles your fingers as you adjust your grip, aware of the grain that won't feed your own family because it must feed the Lord's table. The sun filters through the morning mist, glinting faintly off the coins clutched by a village elder ready to pay the monetary tax in place of or alongside the produce. The social contract here is clear but unyielding. In exchange for protection, however uncertain it may feel, you and your fellow peasants owe your labor, your crops, and sometimes your very time. These aren't mere gestures of goodwill. They are obligations carved deep into the fabric of feudal society. Picture the murmurs among the villagers as they gather near the Lord's steward, voices low and resigned. Some grumble softly, others exchange knowing glances. It's a shared burden, yet individually felt, weighing down shoulders already bent by work in the fields, as you walk toward the manor's outbuildings to begin your day of forced labor. The ground beneath your boots feels both familiar and confining. The rhythm of your steps matches the steady beat of the village life that revolves around these demands. The sound of clinking tools, the scent of freshly turned earth, mixed with sweat and wood smoke, all fill the air. Even on the coldest days, even when the harvest has been poor, the Lord's demands do not waver. They are carved into the seasons. As surely as the turning of the sun and the waxing of the moon, you understand that these tithes and taxes sustain not just a distant lord, but the entire hierarchical system that defines your existence. There's a subtle tension beneath the quiet understanding that these dues represent more than material exchange. They embody control, a reminder of your place in a world divided sharply between those who command and those who obey. Yet, amid this weight, there is also resilience. The shared glances between neighbors, the whispered plans to ease the burden, even the light-hearted jabs about the stubbornness of the oxen that haul the grain. Small moments of humanity soften the hard edges of feudal obligation. Imagine the steward's sharp eyes watching over the process, noting each grain handed over, each coin counted, the ledger that records your life in numbers and quotas. Your Offering is both a necessity and a performanza, public act that confirms your role in the grand order. And while the demands may feel like an invisible chain, it is also the pulse that guides the village's rhythm. Your days, your harvests, your very labor all revolve around these taxes and tithes, shaping how you move through the seasons and how you dream through the nights. So you carry on, with the rough burlap of your sack against your skin, the faint scent of earth and grain filling your senses. You are part of a vast enduring system, complex, sometimes cruel, but woven tightly into the fabric of medieval life, that as the sun climbs higher, warming the stone walls and the fields alike, you find quiet strength in this shared existence. The Lord's demands are heavy, yes, but within their weight lie stories of perseverance, community, and the slow, steady heartbeat of a world held together by the sweat and spirit of those who till the land. And as evening approaches, the sounds of the village soften the murmurs of tired voices, the closing of doors, the flicker of candlelight through small windows. Tomorrow will bring the same duties, the same obligations, but for now, you rest in the quiet understanding that even within this demanding system, life finds its way. The day's labor fades into twilight, but the Lord's presence lingers not just in the manor's shadow, but in the debts carried home like heavy stones. You settle near your hearth, the firelight casting flickering shadows on worn walls, reflecting the tireless cycle that shapes your life. Here, in this humble space, the toll of tithes and taxes feels both distant and deeply personal. You notice the rough texture of your worn clothes, the faint scent of earth clinging to your skin, and the faint murmur of neighbors returning from their own arduous duties. Conversations are hushed but carry the same weight. Stories of bountiful harvests and harsh winters, whispered hopes for relief, and quiet acceptance of what cannot be changed. The Lord's demands are more than material, they shape the very contours of your existence. Yet, in the midst of this, you find moments of shared humanity, a nod between neighbors, a child's laughter breaking the silence, the gentle warmth of a family meal made from the smallest comforts. Even as the burdens press on, there is a rhythm to this life, a steady cadence of work, offering, and rest. It is in this rhythm that the village endures, woven together by the invisible threads of obligation and survival. You wake to the soft flicker of candlelight filtering through the narrow windows of the village church, the gentle glow casting long shadows across ancient stone walls. The air is thick with the sweet, lingering scent of incense, weaving a calm, almost hypnotic atmosphere that wraps around you like a familiar shawl. Around you, the murmurs of fellow villagers mingle with the quiet rustling of robes and the faint shuffle of feet on cool flagstones as everyone settles in for the morning service. The village church isn't just a building, it's the heart of your small world, a place where faith and daily life are deeply intertwined. The choir's hymns rise in gentle waves, their voices weaving together in a comforting chorus that fills the space, each note a soothing balm to the worries that often shadow your days. You feel the vibration of the choirs singing through the soles of your feet, a reminder of a greater presence watching over you. This is more than just a spiritual refuge, though. The church also holds a quiet but firm grip on the rhythms of village life. It teaches you about your place in the grand order of things, a reminder of obedience, humility, and the acceptance of your station. The priest's words, calm and deliberate, speak of divine will and the importance of maintaining harmony in both soul and society. It's a delicate balance, the comfort of faith paired with the weight of expectation. As the service unfolds, you notice the ritual's subtle power, the communal prayers, the solemn vows, and the ritualistic gestures, all weaving a tapestry that both binds the community together and reinforces the social structure you live within. The church's authority extends beyond the spiritual. It shapes behavior, instills morals, and gently reminds you who holds the reins in this world. Outside, the sound of distant bells ringing marks the passing hours, their tones echoing across the fields and cottages. They call not just to worship, but to obedience and order. The church festivals, vibrant yet solemn, become times of both celebration and reaffirmation. The villagers gather, faces flushed from the brisk air and the warmth of shared fellowship, weaving stories, singing songs, and joining in agile dances beneath banners fluttering in the breeze. You catch the scent of freshly baked bread and honeyed cakes carried from the festival tables, mingling with the earthy aroma of crushed herbs and flickering torches. It's a sensory reminder that even amidst hardship, moments of joy and unity bloom, nurtured by faith and tradition. Yet beneath this warmth, you sense the unspoken rules, the delicate dance of submission and subtle resistance. The church's role as both sanctuary and overseer creates a quiet tension, where comfort often walks hand in hand with control. It is a place where your prayers rise, but so do expectations, where your hope finds solace, but your actions are watched. In this world of flickering lights and whispered hymns, you find both your refuge and your bounds. The village church, with its ancient stones and timeless rituals, holds you gently in its embrace, a guide, a guardian, and a reminder of the faith and order shaping your life. If you listen closely, beneath the soft chanting, you might even hear the heartbeat of a community striving to find grace amid the harshness of its existence. A rhythm as steady as the tolling bells that mark the passing days. The congregation begins to stir as the service winds down, the soft rustle of fabric mingling with the lingering fragrance of incense and wax. Outside, the sunlight filters more boldly through the stained glass, scattering colorful patterns across the worn stone floor. You step out into the cool air, feeling the sturdy wooden doors close behind you with a reassuring thud, sealing the quiet sanctuary away once more. Around the churchyard, familiar faces gather, neighbors exchanging polite nods and hushed words, children darting between adults, their laughter light and free against the backdrop of solemn stone. The churchyard is not only a place of worship, but a communal space where the threads of village life weave tightly together. You can almost taste the mingled scents of damp earth and wildflowers blooming along the church walls, grounding you firmly in this small world. The village priest, an ever-present figure, moves among the villagers with gentle authority. His role stretches far beyond leading prayers. He is the keeper of records, the dispenser of counsel, and sometimes the enforcer of moral codes. His quiet presence reminds everyone of the church's dual nature, a wellspring of spiritual comfort, and a pillar upholding social order. Through his guidance, faith becomes intertwined with duty, weaving the peasant's daily life into the larger tapestry of medieval society. The festivals and feast days bring a different energy. You recall the vibrant processions winding through these very streets, the smell of roasting meats blending with the sweet perfume of flowering trees. The church bells ring more joyously, summoning everyone to celebrate. But even these moments of festivity carry a message, a reminder of the sacred rhythms governing life and death, prosperity and hardship. As you wander back toward your humble cottage, the church steeple towers above, a steadfast silhouette against the fading light. It stands as a silent witness to the passing seasons and generations, a symbol of continuity. Amid the changing fortunes of the village, its stones hold countless prayers and whispered hopes, anchoring the community in faith, even as the harshness of peasant life presses in from every side. In this sacred space and its echoes, you find a delicate balance, the solace of belief, gently tempered by the weight of expectation. And as night falls, the flickering candlelight inside the church mirrors the flickering hope in your heart. A quiet reminder that even in the hardest times, faith and community endure. The quiet settles over the village once more, the church's presence a steady comfort in the night. You carry with you the warmth of those flickering candles, the lingering scent of incense, and the steady rhythm of faith that both guides and holds this world together. In the stillness, it's easy to feel the gentle strength that faith lends to the peasant's life, a light in the shadows, quietly enduring through every dawn and dusk. You step into the small, humble cottage that serves as your shelter, a place built with rough-hewn timber and wattle, bound with clay and straw. The walls, though sturdy, are uneven to the touch, each wooden beam telling a story of hands that worked hard to raise them. Outside, a thatched roof wears the marks of many seasons, with smoke lazily curling from the small chimney, mingling with the crisp air of the surrounding countryside. Inside, the flicker of a low fire casts dancing shadows across the earthen floor, warming the room with the gentle heat that promises comfort against the chill of dawn or dusk. The hearth, the heart of the home, crackles softly as logs shift and pop, filling the space with the rich scent of burning wood, mixed with a hint of herbs hanging nearby to dry. You can almost feel the warmth radiating from the stones that surround the fire, inviting you closer. But this warmth comes with its quirks. The smoke, while a guardian against the cold, can sometimes be a mischievous companion, curling into eyes and making noses twitch. It's a small price for shelter, and yet it adds a constant haze to the air, painting the room with a golden veil that softens edges and blurs corners. The cottage is no palace, far from it. Its simplicity is part of its charm and its challenge. Space is precious here, and privacy, a rare luxury. The walls seem to breathe with the lives of all who share this space, parents and children, perhaps an aging grandparent, the occasional wandering kin. Conversations float softly through the room, stories shared in low tones as the fire crackles, laughter mingling with the gentle sounds of a spinning wheel or the occasional scrape of a wooden stool being moved. The beds are rough straw pallets, covered with worn blankets patched together by hands both skilled and tired. At night, the family gathers close, warmth shared in more ways than one, bodies pressed against one another to fend off the cool air seeping through gaps in the timber. It's cozy, certainly, but also a test of patience. The close quarters mean that every sound, every breath, is a part of the nightly chorus. You might chuckle at the thought of trying to find a moment of solitude here, a task as tricky as squeezing a full day's work into the fading light. Privacy is traded for connection. The communal nature of this home a constant reminder of the bonds that tie you to others. Arguments, whispers, and quiet moments all coexist in this small world. The kitchen area, if you can call it that, is a simple nook beside the hearth, where pots hang over the fire or sit on rough shelves carved from wood. The smells here are familiar and comforting. The earthiness of boiled roots, the sweet tang of sourdough bread baking on a stone slab, and sometimes, if fortune favors, the savory aroma of salted meat or freshly churned butter. These scents weave together to tell the story of sustenance in its most elemental form. Cooking itself is a humble affair. Without the conveniences of a modern stove, every meal requires patience and care. Flames must be coaxed and managed, embers stirred carefully, to avoid flare-ups. The tools are few but well used. Wooden spoons, iron pots scarred by time, and clay bowls chipped at the edges. You can almost hear the soft clinking as utensils move rhythmically, the gentle hum of simmering food blending with the quiet murmurs of those preparing it. Outside the walls of the cottage, the world stretches wide and untamed, but within, life is concentrated, dense with the daily rituals that sustain. The hearth's glow pulls you inward, a sanctuary against the hardships beyond. It is a place where stories are shared, where hopes and fears find a voice amid the smoke and shadows. Despite the hardships, the cramped spaces, the ever-present smoke, the relentless demands of daily survival, this home holds a quiet dignity. It is a testament to resilience, to the simple pleasures found in shared warmth, shared meals, and the enduring presence of family. In this modest shelter, beneath the rough timber and thatched roof, the heart of peasant life beats steady and strong. And so, as you settle near the hearth's flickering light, feeling the comforting weight of the worn wooden walls around you, you become part of this timeless rhythm, a dance of survival, connection, and the unspoken strength that comes from making a home. No matter how humble, into a haven. The day's toils may stretch long, but within these walls there is rest. The crackling fire, the murmur of loved ones, the scent of earth and smoke, all these fold gently around you, inviting calm and peace before the dawn calls you once again to face the world outside. The small windows, mere openings framed by rough wooden shutters, let in patches of soft, diffused light during the day, casting gentle patterns on the worn floor. Outside, you might glimpse the swaying branches of nearby trees or the flight of a bird, but inside, the world slows. The cottage is a cocoon of quiet, where time bends to the rhythms of hearth and heart. Sometimes you find yourself watching the smoke rise, tracing its lazy spirals as it escapes through the thatch, wondering about the lives beyond these walls. Other cottages, other families bound by the same fragile thread of existence, yet here you remain, in this snug refuge, carrying the weight of simple joys and everyday struggles alike. The wooden beams overhead bear the marks of years, notches carved by curious hands, perhaps initials etched long ago. or simple symbols, meant to protect the home. The ceiling is low, urging you to bow your head in respect, or simply reminding you of the modest scale of your life. There's comfort in this closeness, even if it sometimes feels a little cramped. And then there's the furniture, a sturdy table scarred by generations of meals and work, rough stools that wobble if you shift too quickly, and shelves crowded with clay pots, a few battered cooking tools, and maybe a treasured keepsake, a woven basket or a wooden bowl polished smooth by use. The smells shift as the day moves forward. Morning's damp earthiness mingles with midday's sharper sense of herbs and smoke, while evening brings the warm aroma of cooking mingled with the faint hint of moss and wood smoke clinging to your clothes. These sensory details anchor you to the moment, making the modest surroundings feel alive and full. Life in this cottage is simple but rich in its own way, not in gold or finery, but in the deep, steady pulse of survival, the flicker of family bonds, and the small comforts earned through effort and care. Each crack in the wall, each curl of smoke, tells a story not just of hardship, but of home. So, as you settle in tonight, the fire casting its soft glow, the familiar scents wrapping around you like a well-worn cloak, you can feel the quiet strength of this place, a place where life, in all its humble reality, goes on, under the gentle flicker of your hearth's flame. Surrounded by the simple textures and enduring warmth of your cottage, you find a quiet peace. Here, in this modest shelter, life's hardships soften just enough to let the heart rest. The day's labors fade into the night's calm, and the steady rhythm of home carries you softly toward rest. You wake to the gentle bustle of your village stirring to life, the soft murmur of neighbors exchanging morning greetings drifting through the cool air. The scent of freshly baked bread mingles with the earthy aroma of tilled soil, grounding you in the rhythm of communal living. Children's laughter echoes across the fields, their carefree play a bright counterpoint to the steady cadence of work. In this close-knit world, family isn't just the people under your own roof, it's the web of hands that come together to plant seeds, harvest crops, and repair worn tools. As you share a simple meal of coarse bread and pottage, the clink of wooden bowls and the hum of quiet conversation remind you that even the smallest moments are woven with connection. Neighbors stop by with baskets of eggs or jars of honey, exchanged with warm smiles and a readiness to help shoulder burdens. When the harvest season arrives, the fields transform into spaces of collective effort and shared hope. Each person's toil a thread in the fabric of survival. The occasional clucking of chickens weaves through the sounds of soft chatter and footsteps, a gentle reminder of life's persistence. You notice how resilience here isn't forged in isolation, but in the embrace of community through whispered encouragements, shared labor, and the unspoken understanding that hardship is lighter when borne together. The children, chasing one another between cottages, carry with them the promise of continuity and joy, a spark against the backdrop of daily challenges. Even as the sun dips low, casting long shadows across the village green, the warmth of shared stories and songs gathers like a soothing balm. In these moments, the unyielding grip of toil loosens, replaced by the steady pulse of belonging. You settle in, wrapped in the quiet comfort of family and friends, knowing that here, in the simple acts of togetherness, lies a profound strength. The tapestry of your life is rich with these bonds: soft laughter, helping hands, and the endless dance of support and care. Through the seasons, the village breathes as one, a gentle reminder that even in the hardest times, the heart of community beats steady and sure. As evening deepens, you find yourself drawn to the small gatherings around flickering fires, where stories flow as easily as the cool night air. Elders share tales of seasons past, their voices steady and warm, weaving lessons into laughter and memories. The younger ones listen wide-eyed, absorbing the wisdom carried on every word. In these circles, the fabric of community is stitched tighter, each thread a shared experience, a collective hope. The occasional crackle of burning wood and the soft rustle of shifting bodies add a gentle soundtrack to the night. You feel the reassuring presence of neighbors close by, friends, bound not just by proximity, but by mutual care and trust. The children's tired yawns mingle with the whispered good nights, and you watch as families retreat to their humble homes, each one a small hearth glowing against the dark. You reflect on how, despite the hardships, These moments of unity bring a quiet joy that is both simple and profound. As you prepare to rest, the village settles into a peaceful rhythm, the gentle breathing of the earth beneath you, the distant song of crickets, and the lingering warmth of shared connection wrapping around you like a soft blanket. Here, in the heart of this community, you find a solace that steadies the soul and nourishes the spirit. With the day's labors behind you and the promise of another dawn ahead, you close your eyes, carrying the comfort of family ties and community bonds into your dreams, knowing that together you weather the seasons and the struggles, bound by more than just the land, but by the enduring strength of human connection. All tucked in now, the gentle hum of village life fades softly as night deepens. You're held in the quiet embrace of family and community, their warmth lingering like the last glow of embers. Before sleep carries you away, you wake in the gentle light filtering through the small window of your cottage. The familiar roughness of your woolen tunic brushing softly against your skin. It's a garment well known to you, as much a part of daily life as the fields and hearth. The fabric, though coarse, carries the stories of many seasons. Faded colors that once had a hint of earthy greens or muted browns, now softened by time and countless washes. Peasant clothing in these times isn't about fashion or flair. It's a matter of survival and practicality. Your tunic, stitched carefully with whatever thread was available, bears the marks of repeated mending. Patches over knees worn thin from endless kneeling in the soil. Sleeves frayed at the cuffs from the simple acts of work and life. Each patch tells a tale, a small chapter in the ongoing story of your days. The trousers you pull on are similarly humble, heavy with the weight of coarse fabric that's resistant to the chill of early morning dew and the scrape of brambles along the paths. They might not be soft, but they are sturdy. And that's what matters when you're up before dawn, working the land or tending animals. The leather shoes, cracked and softened by wear, fit snugly, their soles thin yet tough enough to protect your feet on the uneven earth. In the world you live in, clothing is a visible signifier, a symbol as clear as the sun rising over the fields. It marks the place you hold in the social order. The nobles above you wear silks and fine linens dyed in vibrant colors you could only dream of, their garments adorned with embroidery and trims that catch the eye. Your clothing, on the other hand, is about durability, a badge of modesty, and the harsh realities you face daily. There's a certain kind of humility woven into the fibers of every peasant's wardrobe, a quiet resilience in the acceptance of what is practical over what is pretty. You might wrinkle your nose at the scratchiness of your shirt or the stiffness of a patched cloak, but you also know that these clothes are your armor against wind, rain, and cold. The dyeing process for your garments is rudimentary, often using local plants, bark, or even mud to add a faint hue. The colors are rarely bright, more like the soft browns of freshly turned earth, the deep greens of forest moss, or the dull yellows of dried straw. Over time, these two fade, blending seamlessly into the landscape of the village and fields, as if you're part of the very earth itself. Repairing clothes is an essential skill, passed down through generations. With needle and thread, you carefully patch holes and reinforce seams, making your garments last through years of hard use. There's a rhythm to this mending, a quiet moment amidst the busyness of daily labor, a chance to reflect, to connect with those who wore these clothes before you, and to prepare for the work yet to come. Despite the simplicity, or perhaps because of it, there is a certain dignity in this way of dressing. You wear the marks of your toil not just on your body, but in the very fabric you wrap around yourself. Each stitch and patch speaks of endurance, resourcefulness, and the unspoken pride of a life tied intimately to the land and community. While the nobles may scoff at your plain tunic or worn shoes, you know the truth. Fashion comes and goes, but your clothes carry the history of your days, the sweat and soil of your labor, and the steady pulse of life itself. And if there's one thing that medieval fashion teaches, it's that comfort is a luxury often sacrificed for necessity. Those who have never knelt in a muddy field or chased after a stubborn goat might never understand the value of a well-patched sleeve or a pair of shoes that have molded to your feet over countless miles. So as you pull on your familiar clothes and prepare for the day ahead, there's a quiet strength in your modest wardrobe, a reminder that even in simplicity there is grace. The rough texture against your skin, the faded hues blending with the earth, and the gentle weight of fabric wrapped around you all become a soothing constant in a world of hard work and limited choice. Your attire may lack the finery of the manor, but it holds a story just as rich, one of survival, of community, and of a life lived close to the soil beneath your feet. You glance at the small mirror carved from polished metal, catching your reflection in the flickering firelight. It's not the image of luxury, but of someone ready to face the challenges of the day with quiet determination. And that, perhaps, is the truest kind of beauty in a world where every thread counts. As you step outside, the worn fabric sways gently in the morning breeze, carrying with it the scent of earth and wood smoke. The day's work awaits, and your clothes, humble and steadfast, will be your companion through it all. Now, take a deep breath and feel the texture of your sleeve one more time, a small comfort amid the vastness of medieval life. The morning sun has risen a little higher now, warming the cool air and casting soft light across the village paths worn smooth by countless footsteps. Your coarse wool tunic, though modest, absorbs the gentle heat, making you feel a small but welcome comfort. As you set off towards the fields or the tasks of the day, the patchwork of your clothes reflects the patchwork of your life, stitched together with moments of joy, hardship, and quiet resilience. Just as your garments protect you from the elements, so too does your spirit shield you from the harsher realities of a peasant's existence. You might chuckle softly to yourself, thinking about how the fancy folk in their silks would never endure the chill or the dirt you face daily. Yet, there's a kind of freedom in your simplicity. No elaborate dresses to restrict your movements, no delicate shoes that shatter underfoot. Your clothes, while humble, are made for living, for bending, digging, lifting, and enduring. And in those moments when the sun dips low and the day's labors finally wind down, there's a quiet satisfaction in slipping out of your work-worn tunic, knowing that it will be there tomorrow, patched and sturdy, ready to take on whatever comes next. So, as you settle into your evening routine, perhaps sharing a simple meal with family or neighbors, the fabric of your life, both literal and metaphorical, holds you close, a gentle reminder that even in the most modest of wardrobes, there is strength, warmth, and the unspoken dignity of a life lived with purpose. Let the softness of worn cloth and the memory of careful stitches lull you into a calm reflection. As the day closes softly around you and the village hums quietly into night. Thank you for spending this time exploring the humble yet resilient world woven into every thread of peasant life. As the evening deepens and the soft rustle of fabric fades into the night, let the gentle comfort of simplicity and strength carry you into peaceful rest. You wake to the faint murmurs of the village stirring, but your thoughts quickly drift. The distant manor house, specifically the manorial court where justice is served, or perhaps better said, where fairness takes a back seat. Imagine yourself stepping toward this wooden building, the smell of fresh-cut timber mingling with the earthy scent of churned-up soil. The door creaks as you enter, greeted by the low buzz of whispered conversations, the shuffle of boots on packed earth, and the stern gaze of the Lord Steward presiding over the proceedings. The court is a modest affair, no grand marble halls. Here, just a sturdy wooden bench for the steward and rough-hewn seats for those attending. The air holds a faint tension, like the calm before a storm. Around you, villagers gather, their faces a mix of curiosity, worry, and resignation. You notice the stocks positioned near the entrance, heavy beams of oak, with holes carved for hands and feet, a reminder of the penalties that await those found wanting. In this setting, rights are a scarce commodity. Peasants like you hold few privileges under the Lord's authority. The steward speaks in a voice both commanding and impatient, laying out charges that can range from neglecting your duties to something as minor as a stray animal wandering onto the Lord's fields. The crowd listens intently, aware that justice here is swift and often severe. You feel the weight of the system pressing down not just through words, but in the very atmosphere. The judgments passed are less about fairness and more about maintaining order and reinforcing social hierarchy. Punishments can include fines paid in grain or labor, or worse, public humiliation in the stocks. Imagine the chill of the wooden restraints biting into your skin as you are left exposed to the curious gazes and occasional jeers of neighbors. Yet, amid this harshness, The court serves as a vital social ritual, a place where disputes are aired, and the fragile threads of community are maintained. You hear murmured tales of clever peasants who navigate these trials with sharp wit, managing to avoid the worst penalties. It's a delicate dance of power and survival, played out beneath the ever-watchful eyes of the Lord. As you absorb these scenes, reflect on the precariousness of peasant life, a constant balancing act between obedience and endurance. The court stands not only as a symbol of control, but also as a testament to the resilience required to face each new day with quiet dignity. The wooden beams above you seem to echo with stories of past trials, while outside, the village continues, its steady rhythm, life persisting under the ever-watchful shadow of authority. You leave the court, carrying with you the understanding of a world where justice is measured in labor and survival, framed by the unforgiving rules of feudal society. And so, as the sun begins to set, casting long shadows over the fields you tend, you settle back into the quiet resilience that defines your life, ready to face tomorrow's trials with the same enduring spirit. The steward's gaze lingers a moment longer as you step away, the murmurs in the court fading into the background. Like a distant storm, outside, the cool air feels almost like a balm against the tension you just witnessed. You pause to take in the scene, the worn cobblestones underfoot, the soft rustling of leaves in the nearby trees, and the occasional cluck of chickens wandering close by, oblivious to the weighty matters inside. It's here, in this mingling of the harsh and the mundane, that the full picture of justice, or rather, its absence, becomes clear. The manorial courts weren't designed with fairness for peasants in mind. Their purpose was to uphold the Lord's authority, maintain social order, and extract what dues were owed. Sometimes, disputes were about property boundaries or unpaid labor, other times about more personal grievances, yet the consequences for the accused could be harsh and unyielding. Imagine a farmer whose only mistake was letting his livestock graze a little too close to the Lord's prized orchard. The steward's verdict might mean not just a fine, but extra days spent plowing the Lord's fields under a scorching sun. Or consider the young mother who, caught in a minor theft to feed her children, faces public shaming that lingers longer than any physical punishment. There's a rhythm to these courts, almost ritualistic, with the steward's gavel echoing like a heartbeat through the village. For the peasants, it's a reminder of their place on invisible chain binding them to the land and its master. Yet, beneath this system's rigidity, you sense the quiet ways in which the community adapts and endures. Perhaps a neighbor steps in with a word on someone's behalf, softening the steward's judgment. Maybe a peasant uses wit or humility to negotiate a lesser penalty. These moments of subtle resistance, small acts of humanity, flicker through the harshness like candlelight in a dark room. As you walk away from the court, the scent of damp earth and wood smoke follows you, a reminder of the life that continues beyond these walls. The weight of authority may press heavily, but life's quieter moments, the laughter of children playing in the fields, the shared meals around a fire, the whispered prayers in the village church, carry a resilience all their own. In this world, justice may be denied, but hope and endurance remain steadfast companions, guiding you through each day. Beneath the expansive sky, you wake slowly, the chill of dawn seeping through the thin wooden walls of your cottage, nudging you into awareness. The soft crackle of embers in the hearth dances alongside the faint melody of early birdsong outside. As you rise, the smell of smoke mingles with the earthy scent of damp straw underfoot, a humble bed that has been your nightly refuge. Your fingers brush over the rough linen of your simple tunic, worn and patched from many seasons, a tactile reminder of daily perseverance. Outside, the village stirs. Roosters crow with assertive enthusiasm, heralding the day's beginning. Voices murmur as neighbors exchange greetings, the communal bond palpable even in the quietest moments. You can almost hear the creak of carts setting off, the rhythmic clatter of hooves on dirt roads. Life, despite its hardships, hums steadily. The morning routine unfolds with practiced ease. Water from the well is drawn with a groan from the heavy bucket, its chill sending a shiver up your spine. The rough wooden spoon stirs thick porridge bubbling over the hearth's flames. Each action, though simple, carries the weight of survival. You chuckle softly to yourself, sometimes the stubbornness of a lumpy porridge is the day's greatest challenge. As the sky lightens, you prepare to step out into the fields, where the day's toil awaits. Yet, even in these early hours, the world around you breathes life into your spirit, the distant bleating of sheep, the rustle of grain stalks swaying gently in the breeze, and the steady rhythm of village life tied inseparably to the land. You feel the earth beneath your feet, rough and welcoming, its texture grounding you. Each season brings its rhythm, the hopeful planting of spring, the relentless labor of summer, the harvest's sweet relief, and the quiet rest of winter. Through it all, the village stands a tapestry of lives woven together by hardship, faith, and shared humanity. As you shoulder the day's tasks, the memory of last night's laughter around the fire lingers, a reminder that even in scarcity, warmth and joy find their way. Your neighbors' voices, the crackling flames, the simple songs passed from one generation to the next, they are the gentle threads that bind the fabric of your community. In these moments, you understand that life is more than survival. It is a continuous dance of endurance and hope, of small joys stitched between long hours of labor. And as the sun rises fully, casting golden light over the fields and cottages, you take a deep breath, ready to embrace whatever the day will bring. The village itself awakens around you, its heartbeat steady and familiar. Rough-hewn cottages cluster together like old friends, their timber frames darkened by years of smoke and weather. The scent of fresh earth mingles with the aroma of wood smoke drifting lazily from chimneys, curling upwards into the cool morning air. You can almost taste the crispness of the dawn, mingled with a faint sweetness from nearby wildflowers peeking through the cracks in the soil. Walking along the narrow dirt paths, you feel the uneven stones beneath your worn leather shoes, each step a quiet reminder of the years these lanes have borne countless feet. Nearby, the soft bleating of sheep blends with the lowing of cattle, scattered across the rolling fields that surround your village like a protective embrace. The fields stretch out before you in a patchwork of colors, deep greens of sprouting wheat, golden swaths of ripening barley, and the rich brown of freshly turned soil. The scent of moist earth rises as a gentle breeze stirs the stalks, whispering secrets of seasons past and those yet to come. You pause by a sturdy oak tree, its branches heavy with moss and memories. Nearby, a pair of oxen snort and shuffle, their collars creaking as they prepare for the day's labor. You smile wryly sometimes, they seem to have minds of their own, stubborn as the oldest village elder, refusing to budge until the mood strikes. The village is more than just a collection of homes, it is a living organism, pulsing with the rhythms of nature and human toil. The manor house looms at the edge of your world, a constant reminder of the Lord's presence, watching over land and labor alike. Your life, bound by the laws and demands of feudalism, unfolds under this watchful gaze. Yet, amid this hierarchy, there is community. Neighbors share tools, swap stories, and offer helping hands when the days grow long and the weather turns unforgiving. You catch a glimpse of children darting between cottages, their laughter ringing clear like a bell through the morning mist. Even the grumpiest old farmer can't resist a smile when a child tumbles into view, chasing after a wayward chicken or showing off a freshly picked wildflower. The seasons dictate the village's pulse, the frenetic planting of spring, when hands turn soil and hearts brim with hope, the relentless heat and sweat of summer tending, the triumphant yet exhausting harvest, heavy with grain and gratitude, and the quiet, reflective stillness of winter, when the earth rests and stories come alive by fireht. As you inhale deeply, the mingling scents of grass, earth, and wood smoke fill your senses, grounding you in this simple yet profound existence. This land is your anchor, your challenge, and your home, a place where every seed sown carries the weight of survival and the promise of tomorrow. With the sun climbing higher, the village awakens fully, the fields awaiting the steady hands and determined spirit of its people. You ready yourself for the day ahead, a rhythm as old as the soil beneath your feet, woven with threads of resilience, community, and quiet hope. The village and its fields hold you gently, a world shaped by toil and togetherness, where every dawn brings both challenge and the quiet comfort of belonging. As you stand amidst the rustling grain and whispering winds, you carry with you the enduring spirit of those who lived bound to this land. There lives a testament to resilience in the face of hardship, You wake to the soft crackle of embers in the hearth, the warm glow casting flickering shadows on the rough walls of your cottage. The morning air carries the earthy scent of dried herbs hanging from the rafter sage, lavender and chamomile ready to soothe any ailment that might creep into your life. In this world, health is as much about hope as it is about knowledge, a delicate dance between nature's gifts and the whispered prayers offered to saints above. Your hands move deftly, preparing a poultice from crushed marigold petals and honey, the sticky sweetness mingling with the floral bitterness, promising relief for aching muscles after a day's hard labor. You know the healing power of these plants well, their textures and scents, familiar companions in the quiet battles against fever, wounds, and weariness. Outside, the village murmurs with life, and among the peasants, stories of folk remedies weave through conversations, a pinch of nettle leaves boiled into a bitter tea for anemia, a poultice of comfrey for broken bones, or a dash of elderflower to calm coughs. These remedies, passed down through generations, are the threads of a living tapestry, a blend of trial, tradition, and cautious faith. But healing is not just found in the forest or garden. The church, with its heavy wooden doors and fragrant incense, stands as a guardian of both body and soul. Inside, the flickering candlelight illuminates faces lifted in prayer, seeking divine intervention for ailments beyond the reach of herbs. The village priest, a man of gentle authority, offers blessings and charms, bridging the gap between earthly remedies and heavenly grace. You listen to the soft chants, rising like a soothing balm, the ancient Latin words mingling with the scent of burning frankincense. Here, medicine and spirituality entwine, a comforting embrace amid uncertainty. Superstitions linger, two tales of evil spirits and curses that must be warded off with salt or holy water, cautioning you to tread carefully in a world where unseen forces might shape your fate. In the kitchen, a small fire crackles beneath a blackened pot, the simmering concoction releasing herbal aromas that promise healing and warmth. You cup your hands around a steaming bowl of nettle broth, its bitter tang a reminder of nature's strength and the simple acts of care that sustain life in this humble home. Despite the limits of medieval knowledge, hope persists. You marvel quietly at the resilience of your ancestors, who navigated sickness and injury with tools crafted from earth and faith. Their wisdom, woven with gentle humor and practical sense, carries you through days shadowed by uncertainty but brightened by human kindness. As night falls, you wrap yourself in a worn woolen cloak, the scent of herbs still lingering on your skin. The flicker of the hearthlight dances softly, a silent witness to the healing rituals that mark your days, a testament to the enduring bond between body, spirit, and the natural world that cradles you. The world of medieval medicine is a quiet journey through the senses and the soul, inviting you to slow your breath and appreciate the delicate balance of care, belief, and the enduring human spirit that defines this timeless story. The village healer's cottage sits just beyond the fields, a modest structure veiled in the fragrance of drying herbs and the steady smoke of a wood fire. Inside, shelves groan under the weight of jars filled with dried roots, petals, and powders. Nature's pharmacy. The healer's hands move with practiced grace, blending tinctures and bombs from the garden's bounty, each ingredient chosen with quiet intention. You watch as she mixes a salve from crushed comfrey leaves and beeswax, the sticky texture promising to soothe bruises and broken skin. The smell is earthy, a hint of wildflowers lingering beneath the wax. There's a comforting rhythm here, the gentle tapping of wooden spoons, the faint hiss of water boiling over herbs, the low murmur of soft-spoken prayers. Her knowledge, part science, part intuition, is a lifeline for the village, especially when the Lord's physicians are distant and costly. She knows which herbs ease fevers, which roots stop bleeding, and which flowers calm restless children. In her care, the boundary between medicine and magic blurs, and the line between body and spirit feels less rigid. Occasionally, a desperate villager arrives, clutching a sick child or bearing a wound from the fields. The healer listens, her eyes kind but focused. She prepares a mixture of willow bark, tea, a natural painkiller, and a poultice of crushed yarrow to staunch bleeding. Her remedies are humble yet profound, a testament to generations of observation and compassion. Beyond the healer's walls, the church's role in health weaves its own thread. The local priest, too, offers comfort and guidance, performing blessings, and administering holy water, believed to cleanse ailments of their spiritual roots. His presence reminds everyone that illness is not solely a physical burden, but a trial of the soul. Sometimes healing rituals take on a mystical air. Candles flicker beside a sick bed, chants rise softly in the dusk, and simple crosses of woven straw hang near doorways, guarding against malevolent forces. You sense that in this world, healing is as much about community and faith as it is about herbs and salves. Despite the limits and dangers, lack of knowledge about infections, the inevitability of plagues, the village endures. Each remedy, each whispered prayer, is an act of hope, a gentle defiance against the uncertainties of medieval life. As you settle by the hearth, the aroma of lavender and thyme fills the air, mingling with the faint scent of smoke and earth. You feel the steady heartbeat of a world where healing is a dance of nature, belief, and human kindness, quiet, enduring, and deeply human. This delicate balance between folk remedies and church influence offers a soothing reminder. Even in the harshest times, there is care, comfort, and a persistent light of hope, flickering softly like the flame before you, underneath the gentle glow of the hearth's fire. Surrounded by the mingling scents of herbs and smoke, you feel the quiet strength of a healing tradition that holds a village together. The touch of a bomb, the whisper of a prayer, the steadfast hands of those who care, all these weave a tapestry of resilience and compassion. In this fragile balance of medicine and faith, life continues, slow, steady, and deeply human. You settle in beside the hearth, where the fire crackles softly, its warm light flickering across the rough stone walls of the cottage. Around you, the family gathers close, the air rich with the scent of burning wood and the faint tang of herbs drying in the corner. Outside, the sounds of the waking village drift through the open window, the lowing of cattle, a child's laughter, and the occasional bark of a dog. This is the heart of peasant education, not in grand halls or scholarly chambers, but here, in these quiet moments, steeped in tradition and lived experience. Formal education, as you might imagine, is a distant dream for most peasants. The manor's lord and his family might have tutors and scribes, libraries filled with dusty manuscripts, and the luxury of time to ponder the written word. But for you, the knowledge you carry is passed down through stories, practical skills, and the rhythms of the land. There's no ink-stained parchment here, only hands stained with earth and minds sharpened by necessity. Picture the evening glow as the older members of the household begin their tale stories of ancestors, lessons learned from harsh winters, and warnings about mischievous spirits in the woods. Their voices rise and fall with the flicker of the flames, weaving history and hope into the fabric of your identity. It's oral tradition in its purest form, a living library without pages but with a power all its own. And then there are the children, eyes wide, eager and curious, absorbing not just words but the subtle teachings embedded in everyday tasks. Watch as they learn to till a stubborn patch of soil, coaxing life from the earth with patient hands. They listen carefully to the instructions of a parent or neighbor, observing the weather's whispers and the dance of the seasons. Each lesson is practical, immediate, essential. Imagine the soft rustling of leaves as you walk through fields with a seasoned farmer who points out the signs of good planting weather, or how to recognize a patch of soil rich in nutrients. There's wisdom in these shared moments, a knowledge born of survival and deep connection to the land. This is education beyond books, a tactile, sensory experience where learning is woven into the very texture of life. In this world, you come to understand that literacy is not the only form of knowledge. The ability to read and write might be scarce, but wisdom thrives in many forms. From the healer who remembers which herbs soothe a fever, to the blacksmith who knows the secret to tempering steel, skills are handed down with care, shaping the community's resilience. Sometimes you imagine the quiet contrast, the lavish scribes of the manor, laboring over their illuminated manuscripts, while you and your kin carry a different kind of story in your hearts, one not written in ink but etched in experience, in the changing color of leaves, in the ebb and flow of river waters, and in the songs sung under starry skies. And yet, there's humor in this contrast too. The peasants may lack formal schooling, but they are rich in wit and practical jokes, tales of clever escapes, and cunning ways to outsmart a stubborn ox or a persistent tax collector. Their stories are lively and immediate, a reminder that knowledge is also about joy and resilience, not just solemn learning. Imagine the sounds around you: the crackling fire, the murmurs of attentive listeners, the occasional soft gasp or chuckle as a story unfolds. These are the lessons carried forward, the traditions that bind generations, passed hand to hand and voice to ear. The education of the peasant is humble but vital, a thread woven tightly through the fabric of daily life. So, as you listen and learn, you come to appreciate the profound depth of this knowledge, a wisdom grounded in the earth, shaped by hardship and carried forward with love. It's a reminder that education wears many faces, and sometimes the quiet teachings whispered by firelight are the most enduring of all. As the night deepens, the stories shift from practical advice to the myths and legends that color peasant life. These tales aren't just entertainment, they're repositories of cultural memory, encoding lessons about bravery, caution, and community values. The story of a clever fox outwitting a farmer might seem simple, but it's a subtle reflection on intelligence over brute force, a quality every peasant must nurture in their daily struggles. You feel the warmth of the fire against your skin, the steady rhythm of voices weaving a tapestry of knowledge and imagination. Each tale, each shared experience, is a thread connecting you to those who came before and those who will come after. This is a kind of education that transcends the written word, a living, breathing tradition passed from generation to generation. Picture a young child, sitting cross-legged, eyes wide with wonder, as an elder recounts the origins of the village or the reasons behind certain customs. These narratives foster a deep sense of belonging and identity, anchoring the individual to the larger story of their people and place. It's an education that teaches not only how to work the land or mend a tool, but how to be part of a community. The lessons are often practical too, knowing which plants are safe to eat, how to tell the weather by the shape of clouds, or how to navigate by the stars on a clear night. These are skills honed through observation and experience, shared carefully with those ready to learn. The crackle of the fire punctuates the pauses in conversation, a comforting constant in the ebb and flow of knowledge exchange. Sometimes you hear the soft hum of a lullaby sung to a child, another form of education, passing on language, values, and comfort through melody. The simplicity of these moments belies their importance, as they shape character and nurture resilience. You also come to realize that while formal schooling is absent, there is an informal structure to learning: apprenticeships, mentorships, and the natural rhythms of family and community life all serve as classrooms. You might learn to bake bread by watching a mother, or to mend fences by helping a father. These hands-on experiences build competence and confidence, essential tools for survival. Imagine the gentle patience required to pass on such knowledge, the repetition and correction, the encouragement through failures, and the quiet pride in small successes. This process fosters a deep bond between teacher and learner, woven with trust and mutual respect. And even in the darkest times, when famine or war casts its shadow, these oral traditions and practical skills become lifelines. They preserve the collective wisdom necessary to endure hardship, to rebuild, and to hope. As you settle deeper into this gentle world of shared knowledge, you understand that education here is not about exams or grades, but about living well within the constraints and gifts of this life. It's a knowledge rooted in place and people, fluid and adaptable, carried in stories, songs, and hands that build and heal. So as the fire dies down to glowing embers and the village sleeps, you hold this quiet understanding, close, a reminder that wisdom takes many forms, and the simplest lessons often shine the brightest. The soft crackle of the dying fire lulls the village into peaceful slumber, and you carry with you the gentle wisdom of those timeless tales and lessons, quiet, enduring, and full of heart. You wake slowly to the soft light of dawn filtering through the narrow window of your humble cottage. The air carries a crispness today, a whisper of the coming change that the land has known for centuries. Outside, the fields lie heavy with mud, the rich scent of damp earth rising as the sun begins to warm the soil. This is spring, a time of awakening, a fresh start marked by the steady rhythm of planting. You step outside, feeling the cold stick to your boots as the ground squishes beneath your feet. The furrows you and your neighbors carve into the earth are like lines in an ancient manuscript, telling stories of toil and hope. Each seed pressed into the fertile soil holds a promise, not just of food, but of survival. The breeze carries the sharp tang of new growth and the distant call of birds returning from their winter journeys, a soundtrack of renewal. As you work, your hands move with practiced ease, but the effort is always there. The weight of the hoe, the pull of stubborn roots, the slow dance with the weather's whims. Sometimes, unexpected rains soften the earth too much, turning fields into slippery challenges, and you find yourself laughing softly at the stubbornness of both land and weather. Nature, after all, has its own agenda, and you've learned to read its moods as carefully as the changing sky. By midday the sun climbs higher, warming your back as you take a moment to breathe. The heat carries the scent of blossoming flowers and the rich musky smell of animals grazing nearby. Children play under the watchful eyes of elders, their laughter weaving through the air like threads of light. Life is hard, yes, but here, in these moments, there is also a deep, grounding comfort. Summer arrives with its own rhythm, a long stretch of golden days and heavy labor. The sun blazes fiercely overhead, turning the mud to dust and the green fields to waves of rippling grain. You rise early, joining the chorus of voices and tools that fill the village. The rhythmic thud of sickles, harvesting rye and wheat blends with the murmur of songs and shared stories, a communal effort bound by necessity and kinship. The air smells of dry grass, sweat, and the occasional waft of fresh bread baking in communal ovens. You pause often, wiping your brow, feeling the ache in your muscles that tells you the land is demanding its due. Yet, beneath the toil, there is also a quiet pride, the knowledge that each bundle of grain gathered brings the village closer to the promise of sustenance through the coming months. As summer yields to autumn, the fields turn a patchwork of russet and gold. Leaves rustle softly in the cooling breeze, their crisp whispers reminding you that the year is turning once again. The harvest is a time of both urgency and celebration, days filled with hard work to gather the crops before the rains, and evenings, warmed by shared meals and fireside laughter. The scent of roasted chestnuts mingles with the smoky hearth, and the air vibrates with the sound of fiddles and flutes. You notice the earth beneath your feet firming once more, the soft crunch of fallen leaves accompanying each step as you move through the village paths. There's a bitter sweetness here, a farewell to the abundance and a readiness to face the leaner days ahead. Winter arrives wrapped in stillness and cold. The wind bites at your cheeks, and frost glistens on the thatched roofs as dawn breaks. The fields lie dormant beneath a blanket of snow or hardened earth, resting until the cycle begins anew. Inside your cottage, the fire crackles and casts flickering shadows on rough wooden walls. The warmth, a precious refuge against the chill outside. You wrap your hands around a simple cup of warm broth, savoring the fleeting comfort it brings. The scent of smoked meats and dried herbs fills the air, subtle reminders of preparations made during the harvest to see the village through these quiet months. Outside, the village is hushed, save for the occasional bark of a dog or the crunch of footsteps in snow. A world paused but not forgotten. The long nights invite reflection and storytelling. The flicker of candlelight illuminating faces drawn close together for warmth and company. Despite the hardships, these moments hold a deep sense of belonging and resilience, a shared endurance shaped by the land and time itself. Through the seasons, you live in harmony with the relentless pulse of nature, each phase marked by its own challenges and gifts. The passing weather is not just a backdrop but a defining presence. Muddy springs, sun-warmed summers, leaf-strewn autumns, and frosted winters, all weaving together the tapestry of your life, humble yet profound. And as you rest tonight, feeling the steady beat of the year in your bones, you carry with you the quiet wisdom of the land's eternal rhythm, a gentle reminder that in this dance of seasons, there is both hardship and hope, both endurance and renewal. The cycle of seasons, with its steady cadence, shapes every aspect of your days. As a medieval peasant, you come to recognize the subtle shifts, the lengthening shadows of autumn afternoons, the crisp bite of early winter mornings, the first tender shoots that break through thawing soil. Each change is a gentle signal, guiding your work, your rest, and your hope for what is to come. Spring's promise awakens the village from its winter slumber. The earth is soft beneath your feet, still cool and damp with melted frost. The scent of fresh rain mingles with the aroma of moss and wildflowers blooming at the forest's edge. You breathe in deeply, feeling the air fill you with quiet energy. For the planting ahead, your hands, rough and calloused, press seeds into the welcoming earth, each one a tiny spark of life. Fragile but full of potential. Around you, the village stirs with similar purpose. Neighbors gather to share tools and stories, exchanging news of the land and the year to come. The laughter of children chasing one another across fields, their feet stirring dust and dreams alike, lifts your spirits. Despite the weight of hard work ahead, there is a collective optimism in the air, as tangible as the soft warmth of the rising sun. Summer arrives in a blaze of golden light and buzzing activity. The sun hangs high, casting long, shimmering heat waves over ripened fields. The heavy scent of hay and herbs fills the air, mingling with the earthy perfume of tilled soil. Your days stretch long under the bright sky, hands steady in their rhythm tending crops, guiding oxen, repairing fences. Sweat beads at your brow, mingling with the fine dust of the land, and you pause often to drink from your wooden cup. Grateful for the cool water, the village breathes together in this season of growth and bounty. The air is alive with the hum of insects and the calls of farm animals, a lively chorus accompanying your steady footsteps. Evenings bring respite, a simple meal shared with family and neighbors. The warmth of the fire casting dancing shadows on tired faces. You find moments of laughter and stories exchanged. The bonds of community strengthened beneath the wide, star-speckled sky. As summer wanes, autumn colors the world in rich hues of amber, rust, and crimson. The crisp rustle of drying leaves underfoot is a soft percussion to your labors as you and your fellow peasants gather the fruits of the season. Baskets overflow with apples, pears, and the last of the grains, each harvest a crucial provision for the cold months ahead. The air carries the sharp tang of smoke from hearth fires, where meat and vegetables are slowly roasted or preserved. You feel a bittersweet weight in the harvests, abundancy, mixture of relief and urgency. There is joy in the gathering, but also a keen awareness that winter's grasp is near. As the days shorten and the sun dips lower, the village settles into a quieter rhythm. Nights grow longer, filled with the gentle crackle of fires and the soft murmur of whispered prayers and shared tales. Winter wraps the land in silence and frost. The world outside your cottage is a pale, still expanse, the ground hard and unforgiving beneath layers of ice and snow. Your breath forms little clouds in the cold air as you step outside. The crunch of frozen earth beneath your boots a steady reminder of nature's pause. Inside, the hearth glows warmly, a small island of light and heat against the chill. The village slows with the season, and so do you. Your work shifts from the fields to the fireside, mending clothes, sharpening tools, and sharing stories with family. The air smells of dried herbs hung near the rafters, mingling with the smoke that curls lazily from the chimney. Despite the cold and scarcity, there is comfort here, a closeness forged by shared hardship and the promise of springs. Return. Through these cycles, you live deeply entwined with the land's rhythms. The weather shapes your work, your moods, your very existence. Muddy springs remind you of renewal and hard beginnings. Summer's warmth fuels growth and endurance. Autumn's harvest teaches gratitude and preparation. Winter's hush offers rest and reflection. In this unending dance of seasons, your life finds its steady beat, a testament to resilience, adaptation, and the quiet beauty of enduring nature's flow. Each day, each breath, carries the echoes of those who came before and those yet to come. Bound together by the land, the weather, and the timeless cycle of life, you wake in the cool, shadowed hours just before dawn. The world outside still hushed and wrapped in mist. The village is quiet, save for the distant rustle of leaves and the soft shuffle of footsteps moving carefully beneath ancient oaks. These aren't the usual morning chores, but something more secretive, a gathering not meant to be seen or heard by prying eyes. Imagine yourself slipping silently through narrow paths, the damp earth cool beneath your worn leather boots. Your breath rises in gentle clouds, mingling with the mist as you join others who share a quiet determination. Faces are drawn tight with cautious hope, whispers low like the wind threading through the branches. Here, in these hidden places, small acts of rebellion take root. Life as a medieval peasant is often framed by the strict rules of feudalism, the watchful presence of the lord, and the unyielding demands of the manor. But beneath that surface lies a rich tapestry of subtle resistance, quiet defiance in a rigid world. It's not the thunderous clash of armies, but the hushed rearrangement of power in the everyday, often unseen. Picture the stolen loaf of bread hidden beneath a coarse cloak, a momentary reclaiming of dignity against hunger's harsh grasp. Imagine the deliberate slowness in labor, a small protest that stretches the day, a silent refusal to yield fully to the Lord's demands. These acts, tiny as they may seem, ripple quietly through the community, sustaining hope. You might hear about secret meetings in the woods, gatherings where trusted neighbors share news, plan discreet support, or simply find solace in shared resistance. The air smells faintly of damp earth and pine, punctuated by the crackle of small fires burning low, their smoke curling upwards like whispered secrets. Conversations are careful, voices hushed, eyes flicking to shadows, all woven into a fragile dance of survival. In these moments, you sense the tension of living under watchful eyes, the tightrope walk between safety and expression. The lord's steward may patrol the village, inspecting fields and counting heads, while spies and informants linger in corners. Yet beneath this surveillance, the peasant spirit twists and bends, resilient as the wild grasses growing through cracks in the stone. You may not hear drums or see banners, but the pulse of resistance beats steady in shared laughter over a subverted order, in a child's bold refusal to obey a harsh command, in a whispered song sung softly beneath a moonlit sky. It's the quiet defiance that breathes life into a world designed to constrain. Consider the power of stories told in secret, passed from one hand to another, binding communities together with a shared understanding. Tales of past uprisings, heroes who stood tall against oppression, or cunning escapes from unjust punishment. These narratives kindle the embers of courage, reminding everyone that even in the darkest times, the human spirit seeks freedom. Even the soil beneath your feet becomes a silent accomplice, a turned furrow left slightly undone, a seed planted in secret, or a hidden root harvested for food. Each small act, a reclamation of agency. These subtle disruptions challenge the rigid expectations imposed by those above. The rhythm of daily life continues, but beneath its surface flows this undercurrent of resistance, a thread of quiet rebellion woven into the fabric of existence. It is not loud, but it is persistent. Not grand, but deeply human. As you breathe in the cool night air, feeling the pulse of those gathered with you, you realize that strength often lies not in open conflict, but in the steady, unwavering will to survive and to assert one's dignity. This silent struggle, marked by cautious glances and whispered hopes, reflects the resilience of a people bound to the land yet yearning for something beyond its constraints. It is a testament to the enduring spirit that, even when stripped of rights and weighed down by hardship, finds ways to push back softly, persistently, and with quiet grace. In the early light, as the first pale fingers of dawn stretch across the sky, these small acts of defiance fade back into the rhythms of daily life. You return to the fields, the heavy scent of earth and growing things grounding you once more. Yet beneath the toil, a subtle shift lingers on, unspoken acknowledgement that even in submission, the peasant spirit endures. Imagine the hushed conversations, shared over chipped wooden tables, where laughter flits like a fragile flame, warming the hearts burdened by constant labor. These moments are brief reprieves, a reminder that behind the coarse tunics and worn hands lie individuals who dream and resist in their own quiet ways. Perhaps there's a neighbor who deliberately lets the sheep stray just beyond the Lord's sight, or a woman who cleverly hides a few extra potatoes for the family's winter stores. Each gesture, no matter how small, is a thread in the tapestry of resilience, stitching hope into the fabric of a harsh world. You might see a peasant's eyes glint with a knowing spark during a village gathering, the silent language of shared hardship and subtle rebellion passing between them. It's a delicate balance, respecting the constraints while nurturing a sense of self beyond the imposed identity of serf. Picture the whispered prayers at the village church, not just for divine mercy, but for strength to endure and the wisdom to navigate the endless demands. The flickering candlelight casts long shadows, dancing like quiet rebellion along the rough-hewn walls, echoing the unyielding spirit of those who gather beneath the vaulted ceilings. Sometimes the resistance takes the form of stories told beneath, the star-stales of clever peasants outwitting harsh lords, or of distant uprisings that inspire hope. These stories weave through the night air, carrying with them the power to sustain and embolden. In your mind's eye, you walk the boundary between obedience and defiance, sensing how every small choice is a quiet assertion of humanity, whether it's the slow turning of the soil or the carefully concealed smile shared among friends. These subtle acts build a world within the cracks of oppression. The night deepens, and as you settle back into the worn comforts of your humble home, weight of the day's work softened by the knowledge of shared endurance, you carry with you the gentle strength of quiet rebellion, reminder that even when voices are hushed, the spirit remains unbroken. Here, in the silent spaces between demands and duties, the peasant's life is marked not just by hardship, but by a profound and enduring courage, a courage that whispers softly but resounds across time. You find yourself standing at the edge of a small medieval village, the sun beginning its gentle climb over rolling hills. The air carries a soft chill, hinting at the early morning, but also the promise of change. This village, like many others, once thrummed with the constant rhythm of peasant life, fields tilled by rough hands, animals stirring in their pens, and smoke curling from humble thatched roofs. But now, the pace has shifted. The once relentless cycle of feudal demands and harsh survival is loosening, giving way to a quieter, more reflective era. You can almost hear the gentle easing of burdens, carried for centuries, walking through the dirt paths. You notice the fields stretching beyond the cottages are cared for differently. The heavy wooden plow, once dragged laboriously by oxen, has been improved, making the soil easier to turn. Crop rotation, a thoughtful method to preserve the land's fertility, is becoming more common. The peasants once locked firmly to the land begin to cultivate a sense of stewardship rather than mere survival. The village's heartbeat has changed too. The market square, where once barter and serfs' labors defined daily life, now hosts gatherings with a more relaxed air. Peasants talk openly about new farming tools, shared knowledge from neighboring regions, and the slow yet steady winds of social change. You pause to watch a group of children playing near the village well, their laughter ringing clear in the cool morning air. Their world, while still humble, holds new possibilities. Education, though scarce, is gradually reaching more ears, and whispers of freedom small, fragile hope stir in quiet corners. The manor house in the distance stands as a fading symbol of old power, its shadow less imposing than before. Lords' demands still echo, but less fiercely. Feudal obligations begin to blur as new laws and the rising influence of townspeople alter the landscape of rights and duties. Evenings bring softer hues to the sky, and as you watch the village settle into the calm of dusk, you can sense a delicate balance between tradition and transformation. The long era of rigid feudal life gently yields to the rhythms of change, an era marked by resilience, adaptation, and the enduring spirit of those who lived close to the land. Imagine, as you breathe in the scent of damp earth and fading smoke, the stories carried forward of hardship met with courage, of communities woven tightly by shared toil and hope. These tales ripple through time, connecting the past's quiet struggles to the present's promise. In this gentle turning of the page, the legacy of medieval peasants remains woven into the fabric of history, a testament to endurance and the subtle shifts that shape human life. The village, with its softened edges and whispered changes, invites you to rest here for a moment, to feel the deep roots beneath your feet and the slow unfolding of a new dawn. And as night falls, the stars begin their watch, timeless witnesses to the endless flow of human stories, quietly reminding us of the courage found in even the humblest of lives. There's a comforting stillness now, one that carries the weight of centuries, yet breathes the possibility of something new. The fields, once so tightly controlled by feudal decree, seem to stretch more freely beneath the twilight. You can almost feel the earth itself exhale, softened by the gentle changes taking root beneath the surface. The village, with its worn paths and weathered cottages, isn't the same place it once was. The old feudal bonds, so rigid, so unyielding, begin to loosen, not with a sudden roar but with the quiet persistence of seasons turning. The manorial courts hold less sway, and whispers of personal freedoms echo through the gatherings at the market or the modest tavern. You watch as neighbors exchange knowledge, seeds, and stories, sharing what they've learned from the outside world. Merchants from the towns, travelers from afar. The old fears still linger, but they're tempered now with cautious hope. Education, once a rare jewel for the elite, begins to touch the edges of peasant life through oral traditions, simple schooling, and practical wisdom. The architecture of the village also speaks of change. Newer homes, built with a bit more care, show signs of small prosperity, or at least a hope for stability. The thatched roofs are mended more frequently, the smoke no longer as thick or as constant. Hearth fires burn with warmth, a little steadier in the long evenings. And yet, beneath the surface of this evolving world, the spirit of the peasant remains. It's in the calloused hands that still tend the soil, the laughter of children playing games passed down through generations, and the shared meals that gather families close despite lean times. It's the quiet strength of people who have weathered storms, both literal and social, adapting and enduring. You can almost hear the distant sounds of village life winding down a dog's bark, the clatter of a closing door, the soft murmur of a lullaby carried through an open window. The stars above, unchanged through the centuries, watch over this land and its people, witnesses to an age fading gently into the next. As you breathe in the cool night air, feel the timeless flow of history moving beneath your feet, steady, persistent, and quietly hopeful.